Uh-oh. I think I might have been cooped up a little bit too long because I started decanting my rosés. I don't know. Actually, this worked out pretty well for me. We're gonna get a little bit geeky today and talk about two fresh rosés from one really awesome producer, which is Anne Amie Vineyards in Willamette Valley, Oregon. We're gonna check out their Pinot Gris rosé from the 12 Oaks Estate Vineyard and their rosé of Pinot Noir, which has a beautiful new label on it this year. Look at the little springtime birdie there. I gotta be honest here that Anne Amie is probably my favorite American winery. I love the style of wines that come out of Anne Amie, which is really all about it's all about acidity and really not making wines that are just like searingly acidic, but finding wines that making wines that have just enough acidity to make the fruit and everything else just sort of pop, and to make the food you're eating just sort of pop. So these are two wines made in two totally different processes. Let's start with actually the rosé of Pinot Noir. So this is a rosé made in the Saignée method, which means that as they're going through and making their red Pinot Noir for the vintage. That fruit gets harvested, it goes into tanks, it soaks for a few days, and a couple of days into that soak, they're going to bleed off a portion of the juice. And that helps to sort of concentrate the flavors of the Pinot Noir. It helps them manage, alcohol levels in the Pinot Noir, but it also allows for them to make this really cool style of rosé. This is a classic style of rosé production too. This is what they do in France, in like the Tavel region, certain places in the Rhone. So it's not just like some New Age American thing. This is an old school rosé style. And let's check this wine out. So aromatically, the first thing that comes to mind here for me is like super ripe apple. Like think like a red delicious apple. There's something that's not. It's not quite like honey. It's more like beeswax, sort of like a soft and subtly earthy aromatic. It's very pleasant. Tart. Wow, this is a super tart rosé. So think like sweet tart candies or maybe lemon curd. I even get like kind of a chalky minerality here, which is that's a pretty cool tasting note to find in a New World rosé. All right, let's move on to this decanter here. So okay, Pinot Gris. Yeah, that's Pinot Gris. Let me put some paper up behind it. Yeah, it's usually think of Pinot Gris as being a white wine grape, but gris actually means gray. It's sort of a grayish purple skinned grape. Sometimes it has little pink freckles on it. And if you push the skin contact, and this wine sees about 48 hours of skin contact, you get this beautiful sort of pink color. You can use Pinot Gris to make orange wine, even more skin contact. It gets a little bit more amber colored. See a little bit more oxidation, but this wine sees the skin contact that an orange wine might see, but it still has the freshness of a white wine or a rosé. This wine is meant for aging, which I think is a really cool thing about it. We don't think of rosés that way very often. I was actually lucky enough to taste a bottle that had, I think, 10 or 11 years of age on it, and the color had gone from that sort of vibrant pink down to like the sort of color of my lampshade there. But it stayed super vibrant, and the sort of savory and earthy notes just seem to continue to develop over time. So let's take a look at this vintage. So when I first opened these up, I took a little look at them. Hadn't decanted this yet, and there's an aromatic note that I look for in this wine every year, and I just wasn't getting it. So I tossed in the decanter. And just as I'm pouring it out, it starts to really just rise up and hit me in the face. And that note is baseball card bubblegum. I know that's a little bit geeky, but it is there, clear as day. You know the stuff like rock hard, kind of powdery gum that came with baseball cards. I'm telling you, it's right there, clear as a bell. I also get every year some like some Campari or like orange liqueur. So think like citrus, but citrus meets some spice. There's an appley note here too, but it's more like green apple, tart green apple, and like apple skins, like really just the tartest parts of the apple. There's some tropical character to it. There's a beautiful earthiness. I also feel like it always reminds me of kind of like lemonade, but it's like you forgot to put the sugar in, like lemonade sort of half sweet. But really, this wine is all about structure. There's some beautiful acidity here. And there's this very sort of fine, very delicate tannic structure to it. So it's dying for food. And again, that's the stuff that, with some age, with just some air in the decanter there, those things really just kind of, they meld together really beautifully. I think these wines are also just a great preview of what the 2019 vintage is going to be like for Willamette Valley. I think especially with the Pinot Noir here, they've had a string of really warm vintages in Willamette Valley. 2019 was pretty warm, but they also saw a lot of rain. These guys ended up harvesting a little bit early to maintain acidity, and these wines are really zippy. They're really bright. They're really focused. So I think at least for the style of Pinot Noir that I like to see in Willamette Valley, I think 2019 is going to be an incredible vintage, and you get to start enjoying it right now with these rosés coming out. So again, it's Anne Amie Vineyards, their Saignée Rosé of Pinot Noir, and their 12 Oaks Estate Pinot Gris Rosé. So two really fun wines that are also totally geek worthy. So you can enjoy them, or you can learn a little something from them. You can try to age this wine. I try every year and I fail because it's just too good, and I keep drinking it. All right, I hope you check them out. Please enjoy. Cheers.